Hey guys, Toast here. We're racing on the Sardinia track here in the FI race in Gran Turismo Sport. Didn't qualify too well, but also we're here on the hard tires and brake balance is at +5. And this ends up being a very bad idea as we're about to see, as I completely lose my rear, slide through. Luckily I don't hit anyone outside of that guy who also slid right through. So I was a little bit lucky we didn't get any penalties, but obviously kind of a great start. Which we follow that up into another bad turn here. I don't know what the turn this exactly is, but we go wide, still with the brake setting to +5, and I just can't control it. So I turn it down to +4 after this mishap. But we're going to see that still ends up being a little bit too much as we come back down to turn 1. So again, just the back end's getting a little bit too loose. There's just too much rear brake balance for my lack of skill. So we're going to turn it down again. Then we start getting a little bit better. Here we're going to jump ahead and see some mayhem ahead of us that allows us to catch some cars. Basically a little monkey see, monkey do. One guy's going to go wide here in the turn, and a couple people are going to follow him and going to cause a mess, and then it'll allow me to get around a little bit here, which is always nice to pick up some positions on other people's mistakes. Which brings us a little bit further here. Look at the guys at the top. They're going to go through that same turn, have the same problem. One guy's going to go a little bit wide, another guy's going to follow him. And unfortunately the Eversense here in a path back towards us, and this guy gets a penalty for no real reason. But it's just kind of how the penalty system works in Gran Turismo Sport, unfortunately. And as you can see, Suds here is now back in 10th and 11th. He was probably in a really bad mood and decided to take it out on everyone else and ruin their races. You can see there's just a lot of contact, a lot of fighting. I obviously in the race didn't know he was up ahead, and at this point you don't know if this is a dirty driver or someone was blocking him really hard and it was just racing. So it's gonna look ahead again, the same turn that's been taking out some people before, and you see 3 cars here all going wide, which allows me to move up into 9th position. We're tucked in here behind Suds, like I said earlier. I didn't know if he was a dirty driver or just was, racing or whatever it was. So I'm trying to bump draft him here a little bit. In my eyes, I want to catch up to 7th and make spots there so we can see him coming into the turn. I give him plenty of room, intending to drive nicely, but he doesn't have that same plan. Got this thing a little bit too late, but the guy pushed me a little bit wide into the wall. Probably cost me a lot of time. But dirty drivers will do dirty things to each other, so you can see them bumping and pushing each other, so I'm able to get some of that time back. Gonna catch on a little bit in the slipstream. We'll get him towards the turn 1, which we'll jump here and see. Got the inside. He goes wide there. Hits the wall, makes pass. Look to catch down to Suds here again, which we do. Coming down to turn 1, pass him nice and clean on the inside, no contact. But he does get the cutback, so he's going to get a run here. He takes a while to kind of come up and actually never really fully comes up in the lane like he could. Again, I don't know if he's not using his radar, but causes him to take a bad line through there. A little bit of contact coming out, but no big deal. He's in a bad mood, so as we skip here to the last turn, he gets a little bit of run on me, takes real inside, needs to use me as a bumper car so he can actually get through the turn, doesn't want to respect my line at all. Kind of what we should expect at this point, and for some reason he wants to get really defensive here on lap 14, doing a little S move to try to get me out of the slipstream, which just slows us both down. It's going to allow Max to catch back up to us. It's going to allow Red Panda to get away. Gets him in a really bad position. I'm able to pass there on the inside. And we'll just jump back here and look at it through his position. Again, I assume he's not using the radar. He should have seen me coming. So probably from his perspective, he thinks I was a little dirty and pushing him. But that was my line. I had the run. I had the inside. He just didn't want to let me have the inside. And we'll just skip in here to the last turn. He goes really wide. Admittedly, I should have given him space, but I was a little salty too. And he tries to ram me instead of, again, just tucking behind me. But a little bit on me. I'll take blame for that. which leads to him getting a run coming into turn 1. I do have my radar, so I can see him making the move, so I let him have the inside, but apparently not enough because he still wants to push me out to the outside as he tries to get around me, as I should expect at this point. Anyways, this was here later in the lap. Trying to catch up the space I lost. Obviously, all this defensive driving is costing us time, pushing us further away from Red Panda in 6, and letting Max start to catch up to us. I think he's just going to be unreasonably defensive here. As I catch up to the slipstream range, even though we still have 9 laps of racing left, or 9. He wants to start doing the S's to try and block me on the slip, but all it does is slow both of us down. It gets him in really. He has to be really narrow. I give him space, but he still wants to just turn up and into me. That's just kind of the way the race has been. And here I had a little bit. I had my own monkey see, monkey do moment. Follow him in the grass. This is again just gonna let Max. Well, there's probably a second half, 2 seconds behind us. A good distance away. He's gonna start to get really onto us. And then Suds with the dirty tires is going to go really wide here, so I'm able to get around him. But not out of slip range, or no, actually I'm out of slip range. They're going to fight with each other here for a little bit. So you can see here, Max is going to push Suds around, so there's 2 dirty drivers, which is probably just putting Suds in an even worse mood than he already was in, but it's not my fault, though he's going to take it out of me anyways. Clearly here, Max eventually catches up to me. Even though he's in my slip, he can't keep up with me down the straightaway. I pull away from him a little bit, but he is a little faster in the first and last turn, usually, but then I'm faster in most of the sections, unless I make a mistake. But he does get a pretty nice run in the middle section, coming up a little bit here, which allows him to catch up to me and kind of bump me and push me off the side, same way that he passed Suds earlier. But again, since he couldn't catch up to me in my slipstream, me and his slipstream, I'm going to catch up to him pretty easily. I'm going to have a really easy run on him. He should see me coming, but obviously I should know he's not going to give me room, which of course he doesn't. Tries to force me into a little grass a little bit, a lot of contact there, but we get around him. But he does get a good run here in this middle section. I'm going to switch over to his view here. You can see he's getting a good run on me. Of course, it's not a clean pass. He's going to leverage it to body me wide to the outside. Like I said, he's not even trying to make the turn, just fully trying to use me as his bumper car. So he can make the turn. You can see here from Suds' perspective, it's not even an attempt to really turn in like you would do if you were trying to take this real narrow and try to undercut me. This is just going straight, hitting me, using me to finish turning in. And then Suds here, the gentleman he is, he's giving a little tap. As we go through this last lap, Suds should have just tucked in right behind me, but he wanted to track race for some reason, which means he not able to make a move here into turn 1. So we're able to get a really nice turn from my perspective, especially with the tires being what they are. It's probably one of my better turns in this race. I'm not great at turn 1. You get Max gets loose a little bit there, which was going to let me get a nice run. Unfortunately, this isn't a good place to pass, so we're going to get held up a little bit by him, which is going to get the Suds catch back up to us. I do typically race with my radar on, so I can kind of see the carnage that is about to be happening. So I can see, he's catching up. I take the turn nice and wide. He Suds just intentionally tries to wreck Max there, and unfortunately for me, because he just barely has the corner on my car, being the salty racer that he is, he's going to come in here, intentionally wreck me, put me in the wall. Luckily, we did cross the finish line just a few hundredths of a second before him. Just kind of jumping back through the lap, from his perspective. Like I said, he should have just tucked in behind me, got in slipstream. but he wanted to drag race, so he doesn't have the speed to make a move. So he's just left behind me. Thankfully, at least didn't dive out here. He loses a little bit of time to us, but once I catch up to Max in this kind of middle S section, he'll start to catch back up. Like I said, I'm seeing, you know, the splits, you know, I'm seeing him catching up, and then I'll see him start poking into my radar. So I make sure to stay wide. He comes through, kills Max, as you can see here. And unfortunately, like I said, he's just able to get in my corner, and to come through and wreck me. But anyways, guys, still finished 6th. I think one of the guys gets a penalty for not changing tires or something. But thank you for watching.